Okay, so in one of our builds, I asked the question about, what should a teacher look for in a student? So what should a student look for in a teacher or someone that's a bigger brother to share knowledge with them?
Yeah, first of all, I'm in a firm acknowledgement that students and teachers come across each other based upon proper alignment, right? I don't look for students. I don't go out there recruiting for students. You know what I mean? 9 times out of 10, they'll see me doing something positive, or they heard about me and they want to get knowledge from me, or they might have heard a bill that I wrote or I said, or, you know what I mean? Or they might have heard me on YouTube from what the God has been doing lately. And I need to talk to that brother life. You know what I mean? So what should a student look for in an educator? A person who cares. A person who's going to take their time with you and explain things to you. A person who you can see have applied mathematics to his or her life, right? And they are successful in their undertakings, right? A person who lives their creed, or one who walks and talks and lives this thing out for real. You know what I mean? Now, how do you do that? You got to be around them to know if they're living it out for real. You got to walk and talk with them to see what they're dealing with. A student should also look for a person who's compassionate about this, who's committed to, the progress of positivity, a person who's willing to go the extra mile now and again for certain things in certain situations that, warrants that. Another thing a student should look for, someone who can ask and answer the question, right? Because the teacher's gonna ask questions just like he or she answers the question. And then the student should always research what's being told to you. Don't take what that educator or that person told you on face value. Ask him or her, where did you get that knowledge from? Or where can I find that? Right? It's important that you ask real questions so you can get the real answer, direct. Another thing that you should look for, right? Find out what this educator's home is like. Find out what his education or her education is like. Do they know a trade? What is that? You know what I mean? Do they have a plan as it relates to the proficiency that we're supposed to have as God's nerve, especially when we get older? You know what I mean? What contributions have they made to the community? What contributions have they made to this nation? Right? I don't go around talking about how many people I taught, and I don't go around talking about what I did. For those who know, they know, because they was there to see it, right? And that's another thing that's important. Some people want that validation. Yeah, I'm the God, I'm the earth. You know what I did? I taught 1 million students. All right, sounds nice. But where are those 1 million students now? What are they doing? So students have to be, just like anything else, you come to a classroom to ask the teacher questions to get an answer. So one day you become the teacher, right? One day you will have students or those that you share this knowledge with and be able to give them the appropriate answer so they can have an appropriate life to live. So that's what the student should be looking for from my point of view. Someone who's caring, compassionate, committed, someone who's dedicated to the reality of this way of life. And again, people get misconstrued in what this way of life is. This way of life is just about being a conscious-minded individual who's very clear about who is she and what they are as God and earth, and is willing to teach you the truth about who the black man and black woman is, and to teach that reality without any hesitation whatsoever. But you can't teach it by lecturing alone. You teach it by showing and proving it. You know what I mean? Showing and proving what you have done. Showing and proving what you've accomplished. Showing and proving what you continue to do until you take your last breath. That's what the student should be looking for, as far as I'm concerned.